Hey, what's up guys? I'm Nitij and in this video, I will be talking about some of the lesser known features of Chrome DevTools which I think are pretty useful when used in the right context. If you have worked on any web page, then you must have at some point used Chrome DevTools to either inspect the HTML elements or to debug the JavaScript code or maybe to just check the network logs. While all these and many more activities are quite common, there are some features which are not that frequently used and not many developers know about them. So let's just talk about these lesser known features one by one and see what they do. The first one that I will talk about are snippets. So snippets are small pieces of code that we can create and execute separately. We can execute them directly within the DevTools console, or we can run them while we are debugging JavaScript code. To create a new snippet, first you will have to go to the sources tab, and then within the sources tab you will have to select the snippets tab and then click on this new snippet button to create a new code snippet. Whenever the code contained within the snippet will run, it will be called in the current execution context. So if you are not debugging, then it will run in the page context, which is currently opened. Otherwise, it will run in the context where you may have your code execution paused because of a breakpoint. Let's now see a code example to see how snippets can be used. So this is Visual Studio Code, and the first thing that I will do is to add a couple of div elements. So these are two divs with two messages contained within them. Now let's run this page by opening it up using the live server extension. So these are the two divs. I will open up the Chrome DevTools and let's create a new snippet to change the inner HTML of the first div. When I have clicked on this new snippet button, then a new snippet has been created. Let's rename it and call it change first div contents. Press enter and a new tab window will be opened up to enter the code for this snippet. So let's first fetch the reference of this div by calling document.get element by id. Now we will have to provide the id of this first div. To check the id, I'm just going to copy it from over here, which is div first div, paste it here, and then what I will do is I will simply set the value of the inner HTML property, and let's just set it to a different value, like this is updated first div text. Now you will have to make sure that the code is correct and all the method names are correct. Now press Ctrl S to save it, and then you can click on this run snippet button to run it. You can see that the text of the first div is now updated to the one that I have supplied as the value of this inner HTML property. So you can see that this snippet is currently running under the context of this currently opened page. We can also run a snippet in the current code execution context, and for that I'm just going to add a new script element with a function to our page, and this function is just adding two numbers and then logging it to the console. When I will save it, then because of the live server extension, the page will reload automatically, and you will see that the sum of these two numbers is printed over here. But you can also see that I have already put a debugger before the console.log expression. So when we will reload the page again, then the code execution will break where there is the debugger. And what I will do is I will create a new snippet. So let's just rename the snippet as change value. Now inside this snippet, I'm just going to change the value of x. So the value of x which is being set within this function calculate something is 5, but in this snippet I'm going to set the value of x as 25. Let's save it. So now you can see that the code execution is stopped over here where I have placed the debugger. The value of x is 5. So if I will not run this snippet, then the value which will be printed to the console is going to be 15, because 10 plus 5 is 15. But if I will execute this snippet, now the value of x is 25 and the snippet is running in the current execution context, which is the context of this function calculate something. So now when I will run the code and I will check the console, then you can see that the value which is printed is 35 instead of 15. So this is how we can use a snippet in the current code execution context. The next feature that I will talk about is live expressions within the DevTools console. So a live expression is very useful when we want to do live tracking of changing expression values. This helps us in not repeatedly entering and executing an expression inside the console to know its current value. To create a live expression, you will have to click on this create live expression icon. So I'm just going to track the value of x, the changing value of x, because of our snippet which we are executing in between the code execution when the code is breaking at the point where I have placed the debugger. So I'm just going to press X and let's press escape key to, not pick the first item from this list. And now press Control and enter. So right now you can see there is a reference error because X is not defined, or the DevTools live expression tracker cannot find X. But if I will again refresh this page, the code execution has stopped over here. The current execution context is of this function which is calculate something. Now if you will go to the console, then you can see that there is a value of X which is 5. But if I will execute the change value snippet, then the value of X will be changed from 5 to 25. So if then you will check the console, then you can see that the live value of X is now changed from 5 to 25. And you can test it one more time, like use a different value. Let's use the value of 65. Press Ctrl S and then run it again. Go to the console. Now you can see that the value of X which is being tracked, it is now 65. So this is how we can use the live expressions. Normally when someone doesn't know about the live expressions, then they just copy and paste the expressions again and again in the DevTools console to know their value. So if I will enter X in the console directly, then the value which will be printed is 65. But if the value will be changed, for example, if I will change it to, let's say, 35, then the live expression is going to track it, but the value which has been already printed when I executed this expression, which is just X, it is still the same value which is the previous one. But if I will again enter X and press enter, then it is now 35. So you get the idea, right? If you want to live track any expression, then you can use the live expressions, which is pretty useful, I think. The third feature that I'm going to talk about is the render print preview mode. So if you ever want to know how your page will render or look like when you will print it, then you can check that out by rendering your page in the print mode within your browser. So to do that, first you will have to click on these three vertical dots, which says customize the DevTools. Go to the more tools and then click on this rendering menu item. There will be a rendering tab which will open up, and then you will have to scroll down and then select the emulate CSS media type list and click on this print option, and then you will see that the page is now rendering in the print preview mode. And this is exactly how this page will look like when it will be printed. If you again want to see the screen mode, then you can click on it and then the page will render in the screen mode. So it's a very quick way to find out how our page will look like when it will be printed. Finally, I will show you how you can enable or disable dark theme for your Chrome DevTools. You must have noticed that I am already using a dark theme for my DevTools, and it's really very comfortable to look at for longer durations. If you want to enable dark theme, then just open up DevTools settings and under the appearance section, select dark as your theme. This will enable the dark theme for your DevTools. So for instance, if I want to switch to the light theme, then I will have to select it, but it requires reloading the entire Chrome DevTools. So you can just close it and then again press F12 to reload them. You can see that the theme has now changed to light, and if now I again want to set it to the dark theme, then I will have to just select it from the settings, under appearance section and then reload the Chrome DevTools, and you can see that the DevTools are now in the dark theme. So these were some of the lesser used Chrome DevTools features. I hope that you will find them useful, and if you do, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel to stay updated for more such videos. I'm Nitej and I will see you next time. Till then, stay safe and have fun.